Next we'll have Dilum, and he'll be covering Ethereum, Bitcoin APIs.
Okay, this is me. So, hi, welcome blockchain people to Singapore, and it's a really nice meetup, and we have so much to eat, and we have beers as well in the meetup. So especially, so thank you for giving me the chance to present here about Ethereum, Bitcoin, and things what I do in my workplace and things what I do in my leisure time. So this is basically, this presentation is about kind of technical for the people who already have the experience with programming and as well as development, who are willing to start their discovery for the blockchain stuff or else cryptocurrency stuff. So this will be a good presentation for them to start their career with cryptocurrency and the things that we are moving forward. And I'm Dilum Navanjana, and this is my GitHub and this is my Twitter. If you have any questions about this presentation, just tweet me after this presentation. I will reply you. And even though I am working in Singapore, I am from this little South Asian island country called Sri Lanka. Hope at least few of you know about Sri Lanka. And in Sri Lanka, we have nice beaches and we have tea plantations, and especially we have elephants. So I'm a core team member of Celluloid. Celluloid, if you don't know about Celluloid, Celluloid is a Ruby concurrency and parallel processing third-party gem. So I'm a core team member of Celluloid, working with Celluloid closely and going around Asia, giving talks about mainly Ruby, but this is about cryptocurrency. And according to the founder of Ruby, I'm a Rubyist. And here in Singapore, I'm working in a startup called BBytes, and mainly we are working with Ruby, and most of our APIs are based on Ruby, and as well as, most importantly, we are working with blockchain stuff, private blockchains like Blockchain&Dapps, and as well as Ethereum, Bitcoin, those kind of stuff. And we are hiring any blockchain developers who have experience, we are having as well. So I will be here after this presentation and after this meetup, roaming around. If you are looking for a job in development of the blockchain stuff, we would like to hear from you. And also, right now we have already launched an ICO called BigTK.io. If you are familiar with, if you want to have a look, just go there. That's it. And this presentation is kind of technical. Most of the things are technical. I'm talking about the APIs and not going deep into the blockchain stuff, but technical stuff will be there most of the time. So even though this is a technical presentation, I'm not going to define what is cryptocurrency here, or else what is Bitcoin, or else what is Ethereum, because it's too mainstream. Just go Google and just search for what is cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and Ethereum if you want. But as I see what is blockchain, I will explain what I think is a blockchain as I think. As I think blockchain, if you remember, when we were in college, we studied about linked list, data structure, which has a head node, and then following up there will be nodes going one by one, and the end node will be pointing to a null. That's how we know the linked list is over. So this is a Bitcoin, this is Bitcoin blockchain example. We have blocks in Bitcoin, and each block is pointing to the previous block. So, which is kind of similar For this implementation, it's not like 100% similar to linked list, but so I would prefer to define blockchain as a data structure. Other than people saying it's a database, or else people say it is not a database, it is kind of a database, it has some similarities, but for me as developers, blockchain is a data structure which is kind of similar to linked list, but more complex than linked list. As you can see in this Bitcoin blockchain, in a block, we can see there are multiple transactions in a block. So earlier in the implementations, in the early days in 2009 to 2010, 11, there were around 20 to 30 transactions per block in Bitcoin, but right now it is over 2,000 per block, the transactions, number of transactions. So I will talk these things later. So as developers, we love APIs. So first of all, when we try to learn new things, new technology, the first thing that we would like to learn is, are there any exposed APIs in this technology that we can use in our existing platform or else existing application? So that's also what I did when I first researched about blockchain stuff or else Ethereum, Bitcoin stuff. So then I found out all cryptocurrencies I checked have APIs exposed. APIs means there are RPC APIs exposed, and then they were from their nodes or else their daemons. So to consume those APIs, RPC APIs, we need a node up and running. For testing purposes, I preferred using a Docker container with a node up and running inside that container, so that I don't need to care about my laptop and I don't need to use my laptop implementations for anything. So everything that I do with this testing or else development things, I prefer to do with Docker containers. So for Bitcoin, I created this Docker container which run inside this container. There will be a Bitcoin daemon up and running, and I can connect to a testing network or else the main network by passing a parameter. So using that, I can start syncing up with the Bitcoin from this container. And then if I created this Ethereum container. Inside this Ethereum container, we can run Ethereum node inside there, and then from my host machine, I can connect to this container and use those APIs. So those are the two things I did after I realized there are RPC APIs. Or else, if you want, you can run your own daemons in your personal laptop or else personal machine. So then once you successfully up and running your node, you have to do is you have to just it's simple as running a curl post command with the correct host URL as well as with the port correctly. So it's as simple as that. So for Ethereum, they have inter-process communication as well as most procedure calls. They call it IPC and RPC. Most of the Ethereum developers and the core organization members prefer you using IPC inter-process communication because it's more secure than RPC. In Bitcoin, you have remote procedure calls. Like Ethereum as well, which you can consume as simple as REST API. This is the Bitcoin RPC API documentation. If you want to check, just Google this Bitcoin RPC API. There will be a documentation with all the API requirements, all the parameters, and everything that you need to pass for this parameter to consume those APIs. So this is more. So whatever the things, whatever the GUI Bitcoin applications you can do using these RPC APIs. So like creating wallets, or else unlock your wallet and send transactions, check transactions, everything using these APIs in Bitcoin. So for the Ethereum, yes, Ethereum also have their RPC APIs. So this is for the common API. This is the documentation. This is for the common APIs that you can use. And for those common APIs, you don't need to unlock your wallet. Like you can consume those API methods like get block by hash. If you know the block hash, then you can get the block information of this Ethereum block using this hash. And as well as if you know the transaction hash, then you can get the transaction details. Who is the sender, who is the receiver, what's the amount transferred, and everything in this API. And then you can get accounts, how many accounts are there inside this node, and as well as what are the wallet IDs for these accounts. And also you can get wallet balances using those APIs. So this is the documentation, official documentation for this get balance. You have to pass the parameters of wallet ID, and as well as the parameter, the second parameter is if you want to check the balance of the latest or else pending, those kind of things. So it's simple as that. And these are the Ethereum management APIs which you can use for some wallet related stuff for your implementations, like unlock your wallet, or else lock your wallet, or else create a new wallet, or else send a transaction. But for the sending transaction, you have to first of all call this unlock your wallet, and then only you can send call this send transaction method in this API. Otherwise, it will not get verified. You cannot actually do the transaction because your wallet is not unlocked. So this is the way that you can unlock your account, unlock your wallet. So you have to pass your wallet ID and as well as the passphrase, and then how many seconds you will need to be this wallet unlocked. Default it is 300 seconds, but you can reduce that amount to like 30 seconds or something like that. So after 30 seconds, this wallet will be automatically locked again. So because I love Ruby, this is just a REST API implementation, this RPC. So I created this gem. We call third-party tools as gems in Ruby. I created this gem called El Chapo. So the name El Chapo is coming because of one day I can come to a meetup or else conference like this and say I'm the creator of El Chapo. So that's how this name came from. So this is the implementation that I did called El Chapo, and in Ruby you have to just create a new HTTP Bitcoin. If you want to connect to Bitcoin, just create a Bitcoin HTTP connection object with passing the parameter as the host URL with the port, and as well as the username and the password of this Bitcoin node. That's it. Then you can use these methods that I previously described to you as methods with this BTC client. So that's it. So then I managed to connect to my node correctly. So on a weekend I was so bored. Then I had nothing to do. I had no plans. So I will, after this slide, I will go through some funny stuff that I did by connecting to my Bitcoin node and the things that I did. Really crazy stuff. I found out about Bitcoin transactions after doing this. So on this weekend, I had no plans and I was so bored, and I already implemented this gem called El Chapo for my workplace things, and I open sourced that. Then I wanted to do something interesting, and I got the idea of converting blockchain to SQL format. So then I narrowed it down to convert blockchain transactions to MySQL database. So this is my intention for that few months ago, that weekend, to write a script to convert all Bitcoin transactions to MySQL format. So I wanted to do that because then I can easily query my Bitcoin transactions inside this MySQL database. Otherwise, I had to go through all the blocks one by one and all the transactions, and yeah, it was not easy. Then what I did was I wrote a script to iterate through the blocks from 0 to 500k plus right now in Bitcoin. And this is an example that I am getting for a Bitcoin block, for the Bitcoin block. There's a hash for the Bitcoin block hash, and then you can see there are so many transaction hashes as an array. So I can get those information one by one. So then what I do is I get this transaction ID, and I get this transaction raw details of this transaction. With this information, I get who is the sender, who is the receiver, and what else? What's the value that that this transaction transferred from the sender to receiver, and those kind of information. So I wrote this Ruby script I used Active Record to connect to my MySQL database, and this is a simple screenshot of this database. I had the block ID and the transaction ID and the block hash, most importantly the value of the transaction happened, and the created date, that means the transaction happened date, sender, receiver, those kind of information. So initially I thought it will be around maximum 5 days to convert all those transactions, but I was wrong. So for like last 2 months, in one of my office laptop, I was running this script for like last 2 months. So today when I checked, I passed 500k block, and I still need about 3 to 4 days to finish my all transactions. I hope there are right now about 500 block number, and just checking the blocks explorer, you will not believe this value. Is for almost 500k bitcoins transferred on that day in this block from someone, I don't know. So this is the transaction. You can see this is the value that transferred in that day from one wallet to another wallet. This is the question that I have. So who else in 2011 have more than like almost about 500k bitcoins in his single wallet? So if one bitcoin is, I think this value is not too accurate, but if one bitcoin is around 18,000 Singapore dollars, that amount that transferred on that day is about 8-9 billion Singapore dollar worth. Yes. So that in that time, yeah. Actually, I think it's about $2 million. Yeah, at that time. Yeah, but right now it is like at least 5 billion Singapore dollars worth. So if we transfer it right now in these days. So yeah, that's it. Any question about my database or else any implementation? If you want my database, I am totally okay to give it to you, but right now I don't have the database. I hope it will be around at least 20 GB. Yeah, any questions? Actually, there's no specific reason because I like to work with Ruby. That's the first reason that I developed this script and as well as this Ruby gem. And as well as my intention was Ruby is far behind with the cryptocurrency world comparing to Python, Go, and everything. So that's why I wanted to do something and I wanted to contribute to this Ruby community, and I wanted to at least take some steps to go ahead with Ruby with this crypto and blockchain stuff. That's why I chose Ruby as a Ruby, one of the 40 member of the celluloid. So that's the reason. But I know it's not the fastest. It's not. Yeah, I agree. But I wanted to contribute to Ruby community. That's why I preferred to create this gem and as well as wrote this script in Ruby. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Why is the import so slow? I mean, 20 gigabytes is a lot, but it's not that much.
I realized after like 1 week, 2 weeks of running this script, there's nothing wrong with my database connection and saving inside my database connection, but I had some problems with connecting to my daemon and then calling this API and getting information. That's the slowest part, which I couldn't handle. I couldn't do much about that. So that HTTP connection is not too fast for me to like get all the transactions one by one and then check for the transactions and everything. That's the reason this script went for like 2 months and still continuing and continuing. Yeah.
So I see that we have a lot of burning questions, which is fantastic. But we'll have a Q&A session and a panel discussion very towards the end. Just in the interest of timing, we'll have Kine from Exchange Union.